you're supposed to have.
Okay.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. Afternoon, evening, whichever it is for you. It's 5 o'clock, we'll go ahead and get started. Our intention will be to be done by 6 o'clock, if not before. All of you should have a stapled together group of papers. I think there's 6 pages and 5 little yellow sticky notes. The sticky notes were not an accident. You're going to use them here in 20 minutes or so. And you'll need something to write with. Pen, pencil, doesn't matter what. There are some markers floating around, so grab one of those if you need. The first page there is the agenda for our Rest and Relaxation Committee, R&R. I want to go over the norms which are on the back of the first page. All are welcome to the table to join the discussion, or from the periphery, feel free to speak up. We will stay focused on our agenda topics out of fairness for participants, presenters, and the public. We will listen to others and share our opinions in a respectful and professional manner. We'll be mindful of the time and end promptly at 6 o'clock p.m. I think because of the size of the group, it won't take terribly long. If you would just introduce yourself, your name, while you're here. I'm Brian Krause. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Game Edgar, Superintendent.
Lisa Forson. Kim Yergoop.
Steve Reed. Kenneth Reader.
Kim Miller.
Dr. Jacob McMillan.
Dave Foster, board member.
Steve Carell.
James Soames, teacher.
I'm Latanya Williams.
Lauren Baker, Lois Mustang, Lydia Landy.
David Mason, retired teacher and concerned constituent.
Stacy Sanders.
Sean Connors.
Christy Reed, Business Office. Sarah Garcia, one of the liaisons of the recruitment committee, as well as Kim.
Ashley, you want to go?
Ashley McGinnis, Assistant Superintendent for Secondary. Lacey Adams, Director of Elementary Ed. Linnea Whitman. You name it, I do it.
Jane of all trades.
You got it.
Tammy Pasley.
Ivy Houston Stewart, Director of Communications.
Emma Wagner, Community Alliance.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is a review of the salary committee meeting. There are 3 people here, James Soames over there, Christy Reed, Linnea Wooten, who are all part of the salary committee. They were kind enough to let me do a dry run with them. We had our meeting at 4, talked about this exact agenda. One of the suggestions last time was to get a review from the salary committee as to what the discussion was and what the result of their meeting was, and so James has volunteered to do that for us.
Cool. Well, all of the packet that we have here in this meeting, we just had in our salary committee meeting, so some of the stuff I assume we'll go over in this meeting, we went over as well. Kind of one of the ways we expect to seek recruitment as well as retention, kind of on both. Our meeting ended with a prioritization of those items. So several of the items, how can we recruit, how can we retain, and our committee, salary committee, prioritize those items. And I'm happy to share though, but I think it might be better once we understand what those items are. So once we do that, I can share kind of the results of that. But as far as the salary committee, I think that was the basis of the whole meeting. Kind of what we did there is what we're going to do here and prioritize.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come back to you, get part 2 when we
yeah.
Start the activity. So the plan for the rest of our time, the recruitment and retention strategies are part of the packet that was handed out to you. There are, I believe, 13 bullets there that each describe a retention or recruitment strategy. And then there's a spreadsheet at the back that tries to approximate the cost as well as possible. What I did with the salary committee was went through each of these bullets, talked about the cost, asked if they had questions, and we moved on to the next bullet. At the end of that, they prioritized 1 through 5 what they thought were their best strategies. You'll notice, you may have noticed already, there are 10 large pieces of paper around the room. Those 5 little sticky notes that you were given, when we're ready, you're going to write a 1 on the thing that you think is the top priority. You're going to go and you're going to stick that on the appropriate poster, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 being the least priority in your mind. Okay, so everybody will have a voice. We'll be able to see who voted for, well, not who voted for what, you're just writing numbers. We'll tally those up, and James will give you the tallies from the salary committee when we get to that part. So in terms of recruitment, I grouped all of the pathways programs together. There are 2, and the 3 Grow Your Own. So there will be 10 different things that you'll be giving feedback on. So the pathway to teaching for the general community and the pathway to teaching for current employees. The pathway to teaching program is for people with bachelor's degrees in something other than education who feel like they might want to be teachers. So we hope to recruit those folks both from within our own staff and from within the community who say, you know, I've got a business degree, a bachelor's degree in business, but I think I'd like to teach. That's someone who could enroll in what's called an alternative certification program. We would get them signed up. Once they're signed into a program with the college, DESE automatically gives them an alternate certification, which is good for 2 years. What they do for us, or what we do for them, is we pay them $2,000 per semester for 4 semesters to get their alternative certification. That doesn't nearly pay for a program, but it's probably around a third to maybe 40%. Their part of it is they're guaranteeing us, they sign a contract that says, if I'm in this program, I'll work for you the 2 years I'm getting my alt cert and 3 years after that. So it's a total of 5 years. It's a $4,000 investment per year for 2 years. So if you see what that relates to then on the spreadsheet, the first 2 lines are pathway to teaching general community and pathway to teaching current employees. Right now we have nobody in pathway to teaching from the general community because I'm suggesting that as a new program. So if we get 24 people in there, that would cost us $96,000. That's how and then that number is over in the right-hand column. We currently have 7 people that are currently our employees in the program, and I'd like to see that go up to 12. That would cost us an additional $20,000. And so that's how those costs are arrived at. Does anybody have any questions about that program itself?
I did have a question. Do we have anything like this, or is this applicable for paras?
If they were a para with a bachelor's degree, yes. If they were a para with less than a bachelor's degree, then the Grow Your Own, which is the next set of bullets, would be where they would fit in.
Okay.
Because in order to get an alt cert, they have to have a bachelor's already in something. Okay. I don't know, that's a good question. Yes, David?
So you got 7 current participants for current employees, but you're suggesting that we need 12.
Well, yeah, I would like to
So-
see it increase.
So with that being said, do we just not have that remainder interested, or do we not have funding for it?
Yeah, we didn't have the funding for it.
Okay.
We would definitely have the interest for it.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be just something that we would have to budget for. Other questions about that? Okay, well, let's move on to the Grow Your Own. That is the next 3 bullets. Grow Your Own is a sister program, if you will, to Pathways to Teaching. Grow Your Own is for people, whether they're current students, high school seniors of ours, current college students, current employees of ours who have less than a bachelor's. Any of them would fit into a Grow Your Own category. Grow Your Own gives $2,000 per semester for up to 8 semesters. So like in February, here in 3 weeks, we're going to be interviewing current high school seniors to get into the program. And if they sign on with us, they're saying, I'll work for you for a minimum of 1 year for every year you give me money, which in their case would be 4 years. So it's a 4-year commitment. It's part of the contract that they sign. If they break that contract, they're required to pay the money back. So that's with your question about paras. Let's say somebody has 60 credit hours but not a bachelor's. That would be a person who should apply through Grow Your Own. because it's going to take them more than 2 years to get their bachelor's degree, or it could. You know, they might be short only 10 hours and they're only in it for 2 semesters or something like that. But yes, any current employee who's interested in being a teacher could get in one program or the other, depending on whether they have a bachelor's degree or not. So, like I said, those are sister programs. Pathways is for people who already have a bachelor's, just not in education, and Grow Your Own is for people who have less than a bachelor's. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, LaTanya?
Have you considered increasing the amount of the Grow Your Own? I know that there are other neighboring colleges and they're offering a lot more than this.
Are there colleges that are offering?
Other
now
universities.
We do have an arrangement with Missouri Western that anybody who's in our Grow Your Own program, they also give a scholarship to. Is that what you're talking about?
How much is that scholarship?
I think it's $2,000 a year, but don't.
Because I'm trying to get the combined amount in between like ours and theirs.
Well, I mean, what the college chooses to give, I mean, we don't really have any control
Yeah,
over
I
those.
know.
I know they're not giving as much as we are. But yes, we're trying to develop other university partners who would say, hey, anybody that's in St. Joseph's Grow Your Own program, we're going to give them X amount per year just for being in that program.
But this is another program where the demand is there, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we just, just like Pathways to Teaching, if we had more funding, we could have more participants.
Well, yes, to a point. I mean, I think it's important that the people who are in either of these programs, we need to be pretty confident that they're going to be an excellent teacher for us because we're investing taxpayer money in them. So it is a competitive process. Just for your information, they need to get 3 letters of reference. They have to write a personal statement for us. They go through a personal interview. There's an interview team of 7 people who interview them, and then we select the winners from that. And if the committee doesn't feel like they're, a pretty sure thing, then they're not into the program. But we have always had more qualified applicants than we've had funding up to this point. Yes, sir.
Do we know the success rate or the data of how many people enter the program and how many go on to teach, their full commitment?
Well, no, because the Grow Your Own program is only in its 3rd year.
Okay.
So far, we have not had anybody drop out.
Okay.
But with only being 3 years in, that's a limited data set.
And then Pathways, same way?
Pathways is only 2 years old.
All right.
Well, actually, this is the 1st year.
Okay.
We selected our first class last year. So I can't give you any longitudinal data there. We just simply don't have it. Other questions? Okay, the next one on there then is a moving stipend. We had talked about, this came up in a different committee meeting that, hey, a lot of our new employees are right out of college. They don't have a lot of funds. Maybe we should consider giving them a moving stipend. I just pulled $1,000 out of the air. Depending on how far you move, that wouldn't cover it. We replace about 200 employees a year. My guess is that about 150 of them move from somewhere. Some of them already live here. So if we gave $1,000 to every one of those people, that would be $150,000, and that's notated on the spreadsheet there. Again, that number could be 500, it could be 2,000, it could be whatever we chose to make it, but I guess the idea was that might be a recruitment strategy that you'd say, hey, and if you come here, we'll help you move. We'll subsidize the cost of moving.
And is that 1,000 before or after taxes?
That would have to be before. And Christy, where are you? You said that's a taxable.
It would be considered taxable income to the recipient.
Yeah. So that would have to be taxed, but we would be giving them 1,000, and then they'd see whatever depending on their tax rate. Other questions about that?
So this would be more of an incentive.
It would be a recruitment strategy, yes. Yeah, I mean, somebody who's already here, obviously it wouldn't affect them.
Dr. Kraus, are there districts that are doing this, seeing success with it, or is this just a generic idea from our district?
I'm not aware personally of any districts who are doing it. I'm sure there's somebody out there.
But it's not a given thing that,
I couldn't point you to any research that says, yes, this increases retention. It's just it was an idea that came up, and so we put it on the list. Increasing every salary schedule as much as possible. If you'll notice on the spreadsheet, under that one, it says increase all salary schedules by 2.58%. 2.58% in our current world on our salary schedule equates to $1,000. Okay? So that, we're at 38.7 right now, it would make it 39.7. The last referendum that passed, the guarantee was step and 500 on the base. So if this is done, that would be an additional $1,500,000. You'll see the levy guarantee down below is 1.5. So it would be raising it from, the guarantee is 500, so that would be 39.2. That would raise it from 39.2 to 39.7. And that would cost $1.5 million to do that. Yes, sir.
What would it cost if that did not include administrators?
Oh, what did we figure? About 6% of our stuff is administrative. About 6% less.
I think, so we talked, I think briefly last time about salary schedules and the cost, doing a wage comparability just to see where we're at. So I know administration gets a bad rap because they're at the top of the salary schedule, but I wouldn't necessarily support completely excluding them. I think making sure that we're looking at wage comp data to see where everyone's at is going to be important.
Dr. Krause?
Yes.
I remember you and I were at a meeting and we were just kind of throwing out like numbers, and we had talked about the increase of the base of $4,000. How could we possibly accomplish that?
Well, that would be $4 million. 4,000 times, yeah, 4 million, right?
Maybe more than that.
Well, it's $100 is 300,000. So 40 times 300, that'd be 12 million. Yeah. it'd be
We
$12
currently
million.
have and I think you're headed in the same direction I am, is there's just no way we're going to be able to do. I mean, are you saying this is with a levy?
No. My last communication with Dr. Sechrist, I said, what is the best case scenario? I don't think
Makes me nervous. Now we can have a more open conversation.
my last conversation with him, I said, what's the best case scenario for the base? He said, very most, he thought 1,000 with no levy changes.
Right.
I'm just kind of thinking, I mean, $1,000 still puts us last. I mean, $1,000 really is not enough.
Last year, the average increase was more, in the surrounding districts, was more than 1,000.
And so we have, and I think, again, it's kind of the same page, we have a $3 million budget deficit right now. So we're talking about adding these things, but then we're gonna have to go cut other things. So you had mentioned last time that you were in favor of a levy. I think Tama has shared really good data from community surveys that talks about how the community has been approving of that. Did you guys talk at all about, I mean, your number, and I know we're gonna do our activity, but I mean, to me, it's kind of simple, and I think these are great ideas, but increase the salary schedule, the whole schedule, that's gonna recruit and retain. If we do a 4-day school week, add a levy, you have two really big things.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be funded somehow. And the only way you fund it is to reduce cost, and we can't reduce it that much. I mean, I don't see how that could happen.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is that all of these are small things that aren't gonna have, a moving stipend is nice, but I don't think anybody's gonna choose us over someone else because of a moving stipend. I think it's a nice benefit to add.
Especially if it's taxed. I mean, of course.
Right, so,
that's
I mean,
gone.
to me, if we could do an increase the salary schedule, do a levy. That way we're showing our staff that we care as a board. Now, if the community's gonna buy in, that might be a different thing, but we have data that says that it's a positive.
Yeah, I don't think you will find anyone, I know the salary committee, we talked about this last month, and their number one thing was we need a levy for salaries,
Yeah.
if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there would be no, I can't imagine, I've never had an employee come to me and say, you know, you guys are
Don't
paying
do
me too
that.
much.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, the numbers here are based on
Yeah.
working within our current structure. No additional levy.
Right.
Okay, as a community member and a parent, I think it is important to separate administrative pay from teacher pay, because I think if administrators want a pay raise, I think that needs to be argued. Because we may have some building assistant principals that don't make a lot, but we have some central office administrators that make a ton. And when we have support staff.
One thing that I would say to that is I would question, you run this school district without central office administration, you see where it gets.
Okay, but I don't know if, I mean, at some point, enough is enough. But it's the same thing, run a kitchen with kitchen staff making $12.60 an hour, and you can't hire people because they can make more money at the grocery store. I mean, I think that it needs to be argued separately.
But don't you think, I mean, to me, everybody needs to be compensated fairly for the job and the education and the experience that they have. So my thing is, maybe you do a wage comparability study and you say, you know, this section of staff is overpaid. I hope we have that problem. I don't think we will. But I think if you start splicing out, you deserve it, you don't deserve it, you make enough, you don't, if you start doing that just kind of arbitrarily, you're gonna have morale issues.
Then why
Those
do
are
we
all
have
things
kitchen
that we
staff
could-
making $12.60 an hour?
We gotta raise that too.
Yeah, those are all things that we could, once a general plan is
Yeah.
developed, then the minutia of that can be talked about, whether is it for everybody, is it for certain groups? Certain groups get more or less, and a wage comparability study would
Yeah, so.
give us
Then
that
do that,
information.
then do that wage comparability study on administrators separately from teachers. I just think, you know, but yes, but I don't think they should be required that if we're giving teachers a better pay, that we must raise administrative
Yeah,
pay.
I mean, I think it
that's-
depends
Can I
on that
throw
wage
another,
study.
like,
Yes, go ahead.
from a different angle? How many teachers not are leaving the district, but are actually seeking to be promoted to an administrator position, which leaves open a teacher's position because of the pay differential? And I think, you know, you
Can't
say
see it
we,
here. We're
Huh?
overabundance on administration.
so, and I'm not
We
making,
already have
I'm a
7.
teacher, so
We
I'm-
have 19 comparable.
I very
We
much
need to lose half of
appreciate
them.
my building administration.
Yeah.
They work their butts off, they do. And I think we need every one of them, okay?
Well, we're double
Um,
everybody else. We're double Park Hill, we're double Joplin. And if you
Okay.
do the comparison of how many students, all the ratios,
Yeah.
We also have
We're double,
70%
more than
free
double.
and reduced lunch. We have a lot of challenges, and I think, you know,
there's your
if you wanna see a problem with, so we have a problem with teacher retention. If you wanna see a problem with administrative retention, then don't give them any, like, pay people for the jobs that they're supposed to do comparably. Cause if you don't pay administrators, then why would I wanna be an administrator here?
Okay. I want to bring us
Okay,
back
and I think
hold on,
that's-
I want to bring us back on track here. What we're discussing is the concept of raising the salary schedule and what that would cost.
Yes.
And that's where we need to leave this part of the discussion. This other is pertinent after the fact, when we decide what we're going to do. So are there any other questions about the logistics of the salary schedule and what it would cost?
Yes. You gave 6%, you mean 6% of our total employees, or is that 6%? Because our 6%, you mean, is it 6% of the budget for this increase, or is it 6%? 100% employees, is administration amounts to 6% of it?
No, we have.
6% of the people. Right?
Right.
of the certified staff.
But then if you want, still, if it's only 6%,
It's gonna be bigger than 6% because their
Yeah,
increases are.
because our
Are you-
administrators
Is
are
that,
paid.
is that the point you're trying to get?
well, I'm
They
trying
get
to
paid
figure
more,
out
so
what
yes, the
6%
numbers
is.
are
Is
bigger.
6% of our employees are administrators?
Certified employees.
6% of our certified employees are administrators.
That's pretty close.
Okay. So, but that's, yeah, getting back to your point, then the 6%, that amount, what is that amount? I mean, compared to what we're gonna give the teachers and staff, it'd be a huge amount because of the amount of, the salary, yeah,
We can get that for you.
yeah.
Did you guys have, this might be spoiler alert, did they already do their prioritized list?
Yes, and I'll have James report that after we get through the
Okay.
list.
One other point, though, is about the, Elizabeth's point about questioning the administration is that, I'm sorry, I think the administrators are doing fine. I think they're getting paid fine for what they're doing. But we don't need any administrators. What we need is teachers and staff. So if you're gonna start talking about raising pay for administrators, I'm out.
Who's gonna run the district if there's no admin to run it?
They're not going anywhere.
We can't run our kitchens.
Dr. Kraus?
Can we go to the next
The
bullet
next,
point?
next bullet.
All right, yeah, I think that's a good
Anybody
idea.
making over 100 grand now?
Committee structure is
All
a
right.
problem.
There's a bunch of them.
Moving along, hiring additional international teachers. Many of you know, this year we brought in 37 international teachers. I'm suggesting that we try to reduce that number as much as we possibly can, and the reasons being this. Number one, every international teacher costs us between 22 and 27% more than a similarly educated and experienced domestic teacher. And also, in terms of retention, with them coming on J-1 visas, their J-1 visa is good for 3 years, and they have the opportunity to renew it for 2 additional years. So at a maximum, they can stay here for 5 years. And I want to stress right up front, this is not a diss on international teachers. They are wonderful people, they work hard, they come to work regularly. They just simply are expensive, and if we're looking at long-term retention, career-long educators, that's not, it's more of a Band-Aid really than a fix. So I want to make sure, this is not, they're doing a fine job, they're wonderful people. I just, when we're talking strictly about recruitment and retention, I don't think that's an answer for us, both financially and because of the retention piece. Does anybody have any questions about that board?
Were you aware that many of the teachers that were brought in that way were left sleeping on floors and without dishes and cooking material until teachers heard about it, and in some buildings they took action and got the things out of their own pockets?
No, I hadn't heard anything like that.
They don't have like a
Yes, you
part-time.
did. We talked about that.
So something happened with the company you were dealing with, that they didn't look out for these people.
That's certainly something I will pass along to them.
We talked pretty openly about that.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we did.
I know that we have a lot of like language barrier issues with some, like with students and teachers. What if we, going back with like the Grow Your Own, reach out to some of the parents that are here with like families that, like parents are on work visas with like Triumph, and like, you know, like the moms or stay-at-home moms, maybe they have some sort of college, but they're not allowed to work because they're here with their spouse. If we could work on getting them a visa through the school, and since they already know the language, then that works with like some of the language barriers, like especially Spanish speaking and Chuquis, some of that. And then we're working within our community, building up the families that are in our community right now.
Yeah, and we, depending on the position, that would be possible. You know, if they wanted a certified position, the Department of Ed would never certify them. But yeah, we are trying to draw in speakers of other languages as much as we can. Yeah, that's a great idea. And it is an untapped pool of applicants for us.
Yeah, because a lot of them, they're not allowed to work because they're
Right.
with their spouse. So, I mean, if the school district could say like, hey, we're gonna hire them, give them a visa, then they have a job And then it also benefits us, and we don't have to, you know, I don't know if we pay for translators, but like then also we have somebody that is a fluent speaker already in the building.
I think with the visa process, some of them might have to go back to their country
Oh, okay.
because they're here illegally. And that would make a lot of people say, I'm not going through that.
Yeah.
But it's a great idea. I love that.
That's completely understandable.
Yeah, and we do have on staff translators for Spanish and Chuukese, but if we have another language where we have translation needs, then we have to contract that
Yeah.
out. All right. The next one on there is increase the annual leave buyback. We have a program that started in 22-23 was the first year where we started allowing people who had accumulated 60 or more leave days to sell them back to the district at $150 a day. The idea behind that being to A, increase staff attendance, and B, to decrease our sub needs. There were about 150 people that participated in that, and on average, they missed 3 days less in 22-23 than they did in 21-22. So we do feel like it was effective. Someone that we pay $150 a day, had we needed a sub for them, it would cost us $146.05. So in reality, it would cost us an additional $3.95 per person per day. So one of the things that was suggested was take that level at 60 and drop it down to 40 days. That way more people would be eligible, and hopefully our staff attendance would increase and our need for substitutes would decrease. So that's what that one is about. That would cost us approximately an additional $150,000, but we would recoup in sub costs probably about $130,000 of that. It's hard to know for sure what the exact number would be because some people don't require subs. There are no subs available for certain positions, so it's not a strict one-to-one correlation. Are there any questions about that one in terms of? All right. The next one is related to it, increased leave buyback amount at retirement. The current board policy, it's GCBDA and GDBDA, and it's been in, I'm not sure how long it's been here, since I've been here and longer. People, when they retire, if they've been with the district for 1 to 5 years, they get $10 per day for those unused days, and then it goes 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 in 5-year bands. So if you've been here 30 years or more, you get $100 a day at retirement. And people said, well, that's really not enough. That's not going to be an incentive to not use your sick days. And so the suggestion was to increase that by 50%. Last year, we paid out $408,000 to people who retired from the district when they bought back their unused days. If we increase that by 50%, that would make the cost $612,000, or an increase of $204,000. Again, if people are selling back days as opposed to using them, again, we're saving sub costs. So it's, again, hard to say exactly what the net effect would be. But to me, the positive of it is it keeps our kids, our staff in front of our kids more, which I think in terms of student achievement is a big deal. Questions about that one?
Does it incentivize people to work sick and spread their viruses?
I suppose it could.
I don't know that that's the biggest driver of our absentee issue right now.
I understand that.
No, I mean, there's always a chance that would happen. I think we have people who come to work sick anyway just because they know their kids need them, which, there's balancing act there. The next one on the list, increase the number of full-time building subs. We currently have 12 full-time building subs, and the way we decide who gets a building sub is at the end of every year we look at the amount of unfilled sub requests per building, pick the 2 or 3 that had the most unfilled sub requests by percentage, and try to get a full-time sub to fill that position. Full-time subs make a little more than substitute teachers do. They also are benefit eligible. So the figuring step 3 for a full-time sub was around $38,000 when you figure in insurance and those kinds of things. There again, we could back out what we saved in other sub costs, because every job they fill is one that we won't have to get through EduStaff.
I have a question.
Yes.
Who are the people that are not eligible to have subs? Are you talking about like administrators?
Administrators don't get subs. Some of our, if our interpreters were gone, we don't have a pool of interpreter subs. Some of our specialty course offerings don't have subs.
Like Project Lead the Way, but you get somebody to supervise the room.
Yeah.
They just may not be able to teach.
To instruct, right. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Other questions? Any questions about full-time subs? All right, increasing substitute teacher pay by $10 per day. Currently, we pay $115 per day. Well, that's what gets paid to the sub. There's 27% surcharge from EduStaff. But that also, in that surcharge, they're taking care of the payroll taxes, of the unemployment insurance, of the workers' comp insurance. So again, like I said, it ends up costing us about $2.80 a day per sub is what our actual cost is above by using EduStaff. We are right in the thick of things. We're not the highest district. We certainly are not the lowest. I have not checked this year. Last year when I checked, we were about at 1/3 of the way down. About 1/3 of the district's a little more than us, 2/3 paying less. We have, on average, 11,000-ish sub-requests per year, so you multiply that by 150, and that's what your gross cost would be minus what you're saving in subs. Any questions about that? And that number could be 10, it could be 5, it could be 50, it could be whatever you want it to be if you want to support that.
What led you guys to go with EduStaff over keeping it in-house?
They had resources that they could allocate specifically for that. Like, they have a full-time person whose only job is to recruit subs for us. If we brought it back in-house, we would have to get an additional staff person to do that. I don't currently have anybody in my office that could be allocated for that. So it would really cost us as much or more to bring it back in. You know, and they do some advertising. They go around and have recruitment nights. It's just as hard to find subs as it is to find teachers right now. Subbing's a hard job. I mean, there's no doubt about that. James, I think...
We skipped one bullet point, the supplemental teacher tuition. Do you want to hit that?
Oh, yep, my bad. Yeah, let's go up to line 7 on the spreadsheet. Supplemental teacher tuition. There are districts, I would say it's pretty close to 50-50. Some districts do supplement graduate hours, some do not. I'm guessing, based on the number of transcripts we see at the end of every summer, that we have about 200 teachers at any point in time who are pursuing a master's degree, master's plus 16, plus 32, whatever. And so it was suggested to reimburse up to $1,000 in tuition per year to a teacher if they were pursuing a graduate degree, or just wanting to move horizontally on the salary schedule. If there's 200 of them and we pay them all $1,000, obviously that would cost $200,000 to do that. Would fall under the retention strategy to say, hey, you know, we encourage you to get a master's degree. We're going to pay part of that for you to do that. And so the 1,000 could be less, it could be more. The idea though would be for teacher retention to help them increase. And also, we believe that when teachers get their masters, they're better teachers, which is the goal of all of this that we're doing.
And that they're invested.
Right.
They're invested in.
And are they contracted like they are with Grow Your Own or anything like that to stay with?
We could have them sign a contract. We're not doing this currently, so I think it would make sense to do it.
Yeah, trade out like you were doing in Royal.
Yeah.
They have to stay 4 years or whatever it is.
Yeah, because wasn't that on the last meeting where we had the scale, we noticed that they were here for what, like 7 or?
We lose a lot of teachers between years 5 and 10.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, James, at this point, would you want to give them a synopsis of what the salary committee voted?
Yeah, if you boil it all down, then the salary committee, when they did the little sticky notes and prioritized, they said, like, overall, increasing the salary schedule by 2.5% would be their number one, and it was the number one almost double what number 2 was as far as votes are concerned. So like overwhelmingly, the increasing the salary schedule, increase the base to 1,000, not just 500, would have been the top priority the salary schedule salary committee put forward. The number 2 was increase the annual leave buyback, which was dropping it from 60 down to 40 and allowing those people who have 40 to buy back anything over that. That was the number 2. The number 3 was the Grow Your Own, which was the recruitment strategy. Number 4 was Pathway. 5 was increase the number of full-time building subs. And then it kind of goes down. Number 6 was to increase the leave buyback. 7 was supplemental teacher tuition. Number 8 was
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. And I can do this again if I need to.
Full-time subs, what was after full-time subs?
Let's see, hold on.
Leave buyback?
Leave buyback at retirement was number 6.
Leave or retirement, okay.
That was number 6. Number 7 was supplemental teacher tuition. And number 8 was increased sub-teacher pay by $10 a day. The international teachers category and the moving stipend received 0 votes from anybody on the salary committee. So those were 9 and 10.
That's good to know.
All right, so now, your mission, should you choose to accept it. All of you have your 5 little Post-it notes. If you would write a 1 through 5, 1 is saying this is my top choice, 2 on down, 5 is your last of the 5. There are the large pieces of paper all the way around, if you just want to stick your sticky note there. And then if you're thinking to yourself, I've got another great idea we didn't talk about. On that board over there where it says other ideas, there's a pen below that. Just write your idea on there so we know what it is.
I wonder, I know one time there was a discussion about, as an incentive to come, childcare, that we're going to provide childcare as another carrot for them to come here.
Yeah, we're working on that. That probably is going to come through the health trust. So I did.
We're paying down the health trust. It's $1,000 per.
For a new teacher that's going to come here and spend time and start having a family, that'd be kind of a big thing, to know that that's provided at a high level.
It's coming.
I don't want to be just like a plain old daycare. I want to be something like those kids.
Plain old
Everybody wishes they could have you in that daycare, you know, it's too smart. And for the, I know a lot of teachers are past that, having kids where they can give it back, because they're already here. To bring people, new young people here.
Oh!
Why not?
Well, I should have time to bring on what the vote, or we can say, and we'll say, these were the results. These priorities will be passed along to the board as a whole. Very good. Has everyone had a chance to vote that wanted to vote? Okay. What we will do moving forward with this, we'll tally all of the votes. The way we did this with the salary committee, first, number 1 vote was 5 points, 2 was 4, 3 was 3, 4 was 2.
Tally them. Let me go ahead and.
Depends on how quick you are. Depends on how quick you are.
I'm not that quick.
Donna said that she would post all of those on the agenda, so everybody will be able to see them. You'll just have to go back to the agenda, open it up, and they'll be posted. We'll get those numbers to her tomorrow, and she is quick as a wink, so I'm sure they'll be up there by the end of the day tomorrow.
She's pretty close.
She is. I never feel badly about closing the meeting early. If any of you do, I guess you can stay around. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your input. We'll get those all tallied and let everybody know what the results were. The way that we have handled salary committee over the last, well, we've been going 4 years, James?
This is, yeah.
This is year 4. The salary committee is not a decision maker. They're giving input. They give it to the administration. We pass it on to the board. And we'll do the same thing with this. The board members will all know what your input was, and then that will be a starting point for their discussions, as the 7 of them are the decision makers.
And then also we can start looking at the priorities and talk about them at the next meetings as we come, and how we can get an increase in the, what was the first one? Like an increase in the pathway to teaching and funding and stuff like that. So we have a plan to move forward.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you coming. Please don't run off with the pens, because the academic services people will never let me hear the end of it. Just leave them away and I'll gather them up. Thank you.
Thank you.